welcome to another video. So today we're going to be looking at Rio by Duran Duran. This is not one of the videos that I teach for my classes, so please bear that in mind as we're going through the annotations, that I'm not as familiar with this one as I am with others. I have had this video up on my old channel, so at the minute I'm just trying to move them across to this channel so that you guys have just got everything you need in one place. I will be doing more work on music videos for all of the videos, not just the ones that I study with my students, but we're going to have to wait until after Luther for more of that content. So let's get started. The track opens with silence that eventually builds into the song itself. There are very iconic intertextual elements that we can see in that first screen. So we start off with this sort of black screen where there's a circle that shows the video itself. This is sort of a reference to James Bond, and right from the beginning the woman is objectified because the parts of her that are emphasized are linked to sexuality and looking stereotypically attractive. We then have the video start as it's sort of the main production starting. But we have a black square in the centre of the video. Now this is designed to represent the camera that's being held, and this provides a sort of meta view where we have a camera within a camera. Again, designed to make it look sort of artistic in itself. We then have a point of view shot that implies that the men from the band are looking at the woman, and it sort of puts us in their position, so it puts us into the position of a sort of heterosexual male, so we're using Laura Mulvey's theory here. And then we get further sexualized imagery when we have the three shots together of the woman walking towards the camera, so bringing her further into the foreground. Obviously we're focusing on the bottom half of the woman, so we see her sort of bikini bottoms, her legs, and it's really taken away from her identity completely. Further sexualization comes when the one of the main band members is positioned between her legs. He's looking up to her, but given that we can't see her face, it almost shows him looking directly between her legs. A different reading, though, could imply that the woman is dominant because she's towering over the man, she's taller, she's more significant, therefore she's stronger. And perhaps this is one of the ways in which she's sort of using her body to control or to overpower. There's also an art overlay on the left-hand side which links to the cover art of the single and album. Now the narrative of the video is then made clear when the image of the woman appears within the sunglasses here, so this shows that she's in the man's sights and that she's the object of his desires. The video can be kind of confusing in a way, though. One of the things that I found difficult is the fact that it belongs to this sort of new wave music movement from the 1980s, which is not my era, which is often characterised by sort of bright colours, unique imagery. So in this instance, we've got the balls on the deck, which sort of link into that sort of historical context, along with the dress codes and hairstyles and things, and that takes away a little bit from the narrative of the story as a whole. There's also a lot of sexual connotations in the image though, including things like the water that flows over the body of the man that we've got here and the images that we've seen of the woman before. We've also got multiple shots of her being covered in paint. Now this not only makes very clear sexual references, but again places the audience in the position of male or female gaze, depending on who we're looking at the time, which is obviously Laura Mulvey's theory. We get a lot of split screens in the video as well to show two different perspectives. So not only does this provide a reading that it sort of shows the female's power, but it also shows us the shot in a more artistic way through the cropping of the screens that we have here. Further references to action, like we have at the beginning with James Bond, are presented through the emphasis on the knife that is on her thigh. However, it also exaggerates the female body again, and we've got that paint reference down her thigh as well. Now the transition shows a fade between shots. Now this gives a bit of perspective, but it's again iconically referencing things such as the Bond girl coming out of the sea, and it's used in a lot of other productions that are more cinematic or sort of film-like. Now it's very clear that the protagonists are both very attractive, both male and female, which may be in part of the reason for the setup that we have here. So it could be down to the marketing team that they've decided that they're going to have so many shots of the two of them together. Here though, the male becomes more clumsy and very nervous around the woman, which is why we have this slapstick humour included. It sort of gives a more playful context and references the sort of playfulness of the time, but also provides a contrast to that sexualisation that we've had right at the beginning. Now the wide shot of the boat helps to emphasise the wealth that the band have. It makes them more attractive and also adds to the attractive representation of the female, Rio, who is very attractive and desirable. The painting on the hand again is part of this exotic representation, and sort of links to Rio the place rather than Rio the woman at this point. Generally speaking, as we can see on the right hand side, we have a very bright colour palette, which is shown not only through the sky but also the paint that we've seen on the deck as well. Now the sky here could represent sunset or sunrise, but it could also be something that's been added in post-production to emphasise the genre of the music. Other parts of the mise-en-scène are shown when the two characters are given a phone. Here there are stereotypical gender representations, given that the female phone is pink, the male phone is blue, and we have that split screen, which is very typical of this video as a whole. It's also used for the lyrics where it sounds as if the two are talking directly to each other. Now the positioning of the jacket on the chair in the right hand side could be interpreted in a sexual way, but the setup is also important for the next scene because it references the comic that we see in the centre of the screen that the man is holding here. Now the fact that all colour has gone from the shot indicates that this is a fantasy, so in a sense we're getting a point of view shot because we can imagine that this is heavily influenced by the comic that was being read in the previous scene. We keep some of the same tropes throughout the whole of the music video though, in the sense that it's still very heavily sexualised through the fact that the woman, the drink is poured all over the woman. And again, this creates connotations of wealth. It makes the woman seem more high class because of the high class drink. We then go back to our coloured full colour images where we see the nautical chart, which links again to the overall narrative of the band being on a boat. It also illustrates the place, which is Rio de Janeiro, further relating to the song's title. We then move to a high angle shot, once again showing the importance of the woman. It makes her seem taller, stronger and more powerful. Here we get to see more of her face as well, so we do get to give her more of an identity. Contrasting to that, we have a stance that's sort of oppositional. It almost looks like there's a mirror that's been placed between the left hand side screenshot and the middle screenshot, but we've also got the male on the right hand side of the center screenshot, so it creates a sort of binary opposition between the two. He's shielding his eyes almost as if to look upwards, potentially looking up at her, which would make that left hand screenshot a point of view shot as well. Now, I've had a lot of slapstick humour used throughout the video so far, and we get that again here when the banana skin is made an emphasis and focus. The demographic can already guess what's going to happen next because of that banana peel. Further reference to the woman's power and dominance is shown when she hauls him out of the sea. So this not only shows her power over him, but it could represent how she's sort of ensnared him through her sort of femininity. And it also references his attractiveness through the fact that he would be, or could be described as a catch. Now in that centre screenshot there's a divide between the band member who's positioned in the centre of the frame, which increases the level of attractiveness for fans, but also we have in the background the woman. In his hands he holds one of those balls that we saw featured elsewhere in the video. Now we then go into a montage of shots which not only highlights the saxophone player but also the landscape in the background, which we can assume is Rio. Now when pouring the champagne, another sign of wealth, the woman is seen reclining. This could be why the man pours so clumsily, so perhaps to indicate his nervousness, which again could be a sexual reference. And the sexual interpretation of the shot would be backed up by the sort of knowing look that the woman gives the man, indicating that she's very aware of her attractiveness. Now a convention of the romance genre, which is ultimately what the narrative is here, is included when we get the image of that man riding the horse, which is sort of connotations of a sort of white knight rescuing a female, which again would entice or appeal to female audiences. Male audiences, though, are given a shot of the woman covering herself in foam, so the colours again reflect this sort of new wave movement, but the overall idea is very heavily sexualised. But the video ends with the woman giving a sort of knowing look to the camera, presents an idea of enigma and makes the demographic feel like they're being let in on a secret. So I know that was a really quick run through of the video. Again, I'm sorry if it's not very detailed compared to other videos, but this isn't one of the videos that I'm particularly familiar with, and I myself find it kind of confusing. So if I find any useful links, I'll keep adding them to the description box below for you guys. You have loads of key terms here though that you can use within your own work, so maybe go through your annotations of the videos that you're studying and see what you have included and what you could add in at a later date. If you haven't already, please subscribe, hit the button down below, and if you hit the little bell icon next to it, you'll get instant notifications every time I upload a new video. You can also get in touch with me through Twitter at media_revision, and I'll see you guys later for another video.